Everyone knows something about houses. Ask them and they will tell you their opinion about what house prices are doing. They even may tell you about a good deal they just missed. Most people agree that a house can be a good investment, yet only a few actually make money investing in houses. Houses are not complicated and they're not scary. Their performance is predictable. They produce income when rented, and house rents have a long history of increasing. Likewise, house prices have increased at an average annual rate of roughly 5% for about as long as we can measure. Some years houses go up at a much higher rate, and occasionally they do not go up at all and even drop in price. Some houses rarely drop in price, and those are the ones you want to buy. When houses are not going up in price, you will make your best buys. The old adage, "You make your money when you buy," has a double meaning when buying houses. First, you have to buy a house to make money. Just looking won't make you rich. Second, you can make thousands of dollars in profits every time you buy if you buy a house that someone else does not want. Why houses are your best investment. After 32 years of investing, I still buy houses instead of apartments or shopping centers. Why? Houses make me more money with less work than any other investment. There is a common conception that commercial buildings or apartments are less work. I've owned both, and I can tell you that this is not true. The tenants in apartments and commercial properties often come and go. Every time they leave, the property will need work. Every time they move, you need to find a new tenant. In short, apartments and commercial property require ongoing work. Commercial buildings are rented by tenants who often have lawyers and accountants. This will cost you money and time if there is a dispute during or after the rental. If you rent to a big-name tenant, it is likely that they will pay you less than market rent because they have a name and you want them in the building. If you have the misfortune of having a commercial tenant filing for bankruptcy, you may have a tenant who does not pay rent or renegotiates a much lower rent. If the tenant abandons the lease, you can hire a lawyer and sue him, but if the tenant goes broke, you won't get paid. You want to buy property that attracts good tenants, tenants who will pay rent and take care of your property. You want to buy a property that you can rent to tenants who are not great negotiators and who need you more than you need them. A side benefit of buying and managing houses is that you can help people sell houses they don't want anymore. You can rent houses to people who need a place to live, and when you sell, you can help people buy their first house. You can solve big problems by buying a house that an owner can't afford and that is ruining that person's credit. Even when you sell for a profit, you can help a family buy their first house. These are all profitable and rewarding experiences. Houses are different from other investments. Houses are unique investments. You can rent them to provide income, but their value does not depend on that income. Even an empty house can make you money. It will appreciate as much as a full one. The value of other investment real estate, such as apartments or commercial property, depends on the amount of income it produces. If you rent an apartment or office space for below market rent, it will be worth less money. An empty house is worth as much as a full one. Houses are much safer investments for several reasons. First, there is less money involved. You often can buy a house with a small down payment, so you have less at risk. Lenders routinely will lend more against a house than any other type of property. Next, there are more buyers for houses than for bigger properties. If you need to sell in a hurry, you can, if you offer a house at a good price. Third, houses rent faster and have fewer vacancies. Apartment vacancies often run 10 to 20%, whereas house vacancies rarely exceed 5%. Commercial properties sit empty for months and even years at a time between tenants. You need a lot of cash in the bank to survive a long-term vacancy in a large building. When you buy, you are dealing with an anxious